in the 1930s, when they were making movies like Saratoga and things like that,
Yeah.
and Hattie McDaniel was on the set, playing usually a maid or someone like that as a black actress, the roles that were open to them, Clark Gable insisted that the cafeteria at MGM be open for those individuals as well as from him. When the stars were getting together during breaks, he included McDaniel. So there were definitely stars who personally helped integrate situations. Jean Harlow had incredible relationships with the actresses and actors who were playing character roles who happened to be black on the set. So now the flip side of that, there were also actors during that time who were notorious for being racist too. But we need to give credit where credit is due. And those people who did bridge that gap when that was socially not something you did, was very important. Hattie McDaniel, being a black actress at the time, helped. She actually bought a home in an all-white neighborhood when she started making big money in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And so therefore she integrated a neighborhood. And there was some flack of her doing it.
I'm sure.
And then also she hired a white maid and a white chauffeur.
I'm so proud of her.
Basically speaking, to point out the racism of the time.
Yeah.
So in her own quiet way, but she was a pioneer who didn't get to live long enough to have an opportunity to really act in films. But, there were films that she made that points were made in those films about racism. And I think that I tell people all the time that there are some people who just don't want to watch Gone with the Wind. And there's some things that make you uncomfortable in it, in a modern sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But you watch it for a lot of different reasons, some of them technical, some of them acting, some of them directorial. But my Lord, you watch it for Hattie McDaniel, because Hattie McDaniel stole that film.
Yeah.
Hattie McDaniel's role, she may have been playing a slave, but Hattie McDaniel played that with such grace and dignity and strength that she presented a woman, not a black woman, a woman of incredible depth and quality.
She deserved the Oscar she won for that one.
And her speech at the Oscars is one of the most inspirational speeches ever given at the Oscars.
Yes, I mean, there have been movies made just on her winning the Oscar. She just did such a phenomenal job in the film and everything after that. And I love hearing about her hiring servants that were white, because that's what needed to happen. And I'm just so proud to hear those sorts of stories happening so far away or so long ago, of people who were in a position, women and minorities, that stood up for themselves and made very intense and well thought out moves to highlight what things could be like otherwise, and to highlight the racism in the country.
And doing it in a way that was instructive. In other words, it wasn't in your face.
Yes.
If they'd been in your face, they'd have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
They had to walk a very tight line, and yet they figured out how to walk that line and open doors that otherwise would not have been opened. Without Hattie, would there have been a Sidney Poitier? Without Hattie, would there have been a Harry Belafonte, Alina Horn? Those people owe their careers to that. And I think that's why you still see, when you see black entertainers win awards, a lot of them still go back and thank Hattie McDaniel.
Yeah.
Because they understand what she did and who she was.
Yeah.
It's important. When I write, I spend a lot of time incorporating characters of color, of different ethnic backgrounds, into my books, no matter what era they're set in. And of course, I write a lot of historical fiction. One, I want to make people uncomfortable in a way.
Yeah.
I want them to understand what it was like during this time.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to inspire folks today to move past that.
Yeah.
The Color of Justice, which has won the awards and stuff, that I wrote, looked at racism in the 1960s. And I get more comments from people who are white about how great that book is because of the way it exposes white treatment of blacks during that time.
Yeah.
And therefore, I've had high school classes study it.
Yeah.
And that, when I hear from those students, when I hear from those teachers,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that when I wrote the book, I understood the impact it would have. But I'm glad it does, and I'm glad it continues to have impact, and I'm glad that I have, I had a lady today told me that it wasn't just her favorite book I'd written, it was her favorite book of all time, and this was a professor at University of Auburn.
Yeah.
Auburn University. We hit on uncomfortable subjects at time to allow people to understand how they can better serve in this moment of history, how they can be better at this time.